Are you having false beliefs about certain fantasy outcomes in your divorce? If you get custody, everything is going to be fine. If you get that house, get the marital house, it's going to be so much better. If you just get that right amount of support, your life's going to be on easy street. Well, let me tell you something. That's not necessarily true. And I'm Corey Shapiro. This is the Getting Divorced Without Losing Your Mind podcast. And we're going to talk about in this episode, breaking down fantasy thinking and talking about what you can achieve and at what cost. Now, in my day job, I'm a divorce attorney and I have a lot of consultations. And sometimes I see people who get this immediately. They tell me what they want. I tell them the frustrations and realities, and they can backtrack. They understand sometimes you have to leave money on the table. Sometimes it's going to take so much time to get it. It's just not worth it. They're playing the long game. Other people, maybe me included, need to experience some pain. Maybe they really want to fight for something, but they don't understand the realities. So I've created this thinking, this framework to help you get out of these false beliefs, this fantasy thinking, and come back to reality. I got an acronym. It's called TEAM, T-E-E-M, and let's go through it. First T is time. Do you have the time for a divorce? For a contested divorce? This is not a collaborative divorce that's going to take months. A contested divorce can take years, okay? And you have to understand the system is not set up for trials. It's set up for settlement. Give you an example. It takes forever just to get a trial date. Once you get to trial dates, a court may schedule one date, let's say in May. The next date may be in December. The third date may be, next year in the spring. So it's not day to day necessarily. It's inefficient. And they're doing that on purpose to get you to settle. Also, the E stands for energy. People come in, most people have a job. If you're taking care of kids, that's a second job. Your divorce is your third job. Do you have that energy to commit to your divorce? If you don't, be wise earlier on. The second E is emotion. Are you going to feel all that stress in your divorce? And even if you can keep quiet, subconsciously it's going to leak out. And if you have children, they're going to feel that stress. And how is that helpful for you when you're trying to create happy childhood memories? M is money. You go to court sometimes and judge loves to say, do you want to spend your kid's college education on your lawyers? And even if you can, do you want to? No, no, that's the reality test. And that's what we're doing here. This is the reality filter. Okay. So let me give you some objections you're probably going to tell me. First, what happens if I can win? Well, if you can win your position, the key is it may not be worth it. It may not be worth it. Maybe there's another way to achieve what you want that's going to be less expensive. And expensive is these four ideas: time, energy, emotion, money. Okay. Another objection could be, but you know what? If I just have sole custody, Corey, everything's going to be better. The other side's so difficult. You don't know. Well, I might not know exactly what your spouse or, ex-spouse or strange spouse is all about, but I know the type. And let me tell you something. If someone wants to be difficult, they will. And you can get sole custody, but here's something that people don't tell you. The other side can just object. They can bring you to court for every issue and make your life miserable. So sole custody doesn't necessarily solve all problems. It might be better, but doesn't solve all problems. Let me give you an action step. When you're thinking in this fantasy world, something out there is going to be better. Run it through TEAM. Think about your time, your energy, your emotion, your money, and write that down. Just do a brainstorm. Could be a mind map. And then speak to someone. It could be your lawyer. It could be a trusted friend. It could even be AI as a thought partner. And see if you can stomach what it will take to get there. I heard Taylor Swift not only envisioned what it would be like to be super successful, but also what it will take to get there. And that's the missing link a lot of people forget, what it will take. So your takeaway is, if you're having these short-term thinkings that, it's going to be great. No, it might not be. We're playing the long game. And It might not be what you expected. And I also don't want you to think that getting whatever you think you're going to get is what you have now, plus it just is going to be different. That's the reality. So think about this when you have this false beliefs or fantasy thinking, run it through team and see if it helps you bring yourself back to reality. Next episode, we're going to move to the strategic shift. That's our last shift we're going to cover this season. You're going to get the full toolbox. And the strategic shift is so important because this is how you get to become persuasive. This is where we're going to start becoming persuasive because we've been working so far on the internal experience. I'm Corey Shapiro. Let's step forward together with clarity.
This podcast offers general information only. It cannot replace legal advice. If you need tailored advice, contact an attorney licensed to practice in your area.